commence? OK. Comme ça, ça marche? Hi, everybody. My name's Vicki, and I'm here to talk to you about how to deliver an awesome demo, which is very ironic because I'll be using mobile hotspot for my demo today, so just covering everything that could go wrong, too. But yes, I'm here to talk to you about 5 tips to deliver an awesome demo. See if my slides move, or go the old-fashioned way and actually just click through. So I know a lot of you in the room, but for those of you who I don't know, I'm a certified instructor with Salesforce, so I deliver some of the boot camps. You might have seen me around on some of those. Otherwise, I also do freelance architect work. I am a Salesforce MVP as of this year, very new, and marketing champion, 23 times certified. And the one that keeps me the busiest of all is probably the 3 times mom. So I have a picture of my Ys up here, my 3 kids, Alicia, Lucy, and Owen. And I live near Clermont-Ferrand, so not too far away from here. I'm in France. I've been here for 13 years now, so I think I can officially call myself an expat. And for those of you who aren't from the area, you can see what my view from the office window looks like. If anybody is looking for tourist spots to go hiking or anything like that, Clermont-Ferrand. So we're here today to talk demos. And I actually added this in, so this is my second time presenting this one. And when I originally put this together, I thought like demos, pre-sale. And then I realized from everybody who was in the room that demos come in at every point of the journey. So actually starting out with where you might use a demo in the first place. And a lot of times we do think demos are that pre-sales. We're trying to sell Salesforce, we're trying to sell a project. So I'm going to put together a demo, and this will be what I show the potential customer, and hopefully they'll buy on, hopefully they'll want to do the project with me. But actually, they come in at so many other different points throughout your entire project. So it might be that you're just highlighting the art of the possible. Somebody is trying to figure out what they can do with Salesforce or with whatever solution that you're selling, and we're showing them what's possible. Otherwise, it might even be showing internally, showing our team what we did, because we build all of these really cool, creative solutions, and being able to show them off, being able to show other people. Demos are perfect. Also showing your clients what you've built as well. So if you're actually doing configuration or running a project, even as a project manager, you want to do those playback sessions. You want to show what's been built to be able to get sign-off, to be able to do all of the things of moving to the next step. And also when you're delivering training. So I'm a teacher at heart. I was an English teacher in a past life before moving into Salesforce, so that's just in my blood, I think. And when you're delivering training, you want to be showing off what you've built. You want to be showing what their day-to-day is going to look like for your customers, for your users, for the people who are going to be actually doing that stuff. So I have a little recording for us to start off with, and it's going to be that really awkward moment of listening to your own voice, which is never. Well, let's see if this picks it up. I don't think it is. So we're going to do this a different way, and in the world of demos, you always have to be flexible and willing to go on your toes. So I'm just going to blow this up a little bit so that if it wants to. Yeah, it's not blowing up much more than that. But we go through a demo, and actually, before we go into that, the lead conversion process. I figured that this is a place that we can start at because everybody talks about lead conversion. It's a fairly basic process. As admins, we learn about lead conversion and how to do all of that. As the sales reps, they're the ones actually doing the conversion. And I wanted to put together a demo that actually wasn't too bad. So you go through, and we are going to go into the sales app here. And I'm just going to pause as I go and turn off the sound. And then we're going to go into the sales app, where the sales reps will be spending most of their day. So we have all of these different tabs up here at the top. We have the leads, we have the accounts, we have the contacts. We're going to start with our leads. So we're going to click into a lead. We have Miss Bertha Boxer here. And we can go into her details. We can see all of the nice information that as a sales rep, I've collected all of this. And we'll be able to actually convert this lead once we've had that conversation with the individual. So we'll click the convert button. And we'll be able to see if there's already an account, a contact, a opportunity, whether we'd like to create that or not. We can use existing ones. Otherwise, we can use the ones that are going to be created for us. So we'll say, okay, let's go ahead and we're going to create a new account. We're going to create a new contact. We're going to let it create an opportunity. And then it converts the lead. So awesome, our lead has been converted. And we can see on the account that there's all of this information, all of the details have been mapped over. And we can see related lists with our contact that's related and all of those contact individual details here. And then the opportunity. So the opportunity is going to be our potential sale. And we're all set. So because I'm doing this live instead of losing the recording, I'll just stop there. But that was an example of a demo that's very basic. And it works. It'll be OK. But for somebody who has no idea what Salesforce is, that wasn't tailored enough. It was OK. It was decent. But it wasn't at the high level that we want to be at. So that's what we're going to use as our baseline, and then go through a couple of tips of how to make that better. So first of all, that was entirely too generic. I went into a dev org. It was a trailhead playground. I went into the sales app, and we got started, and off we go. But my first tip for building awesome demos and how to make this better, more tailored, is to get to know your audience. So this is especially, well, I'd say especially, but it's really for anybody. If you're working with a client in a pre-sales situation, for example, who's your audience? Who are the people who are going to be in the room? Are they the executive team? Are they the decision makers? Are they the sales reps who are going to be using the functionality? Who are those individuals? What's their role? Knowing what products they're interested in, and what are their pain points as well. What was that thing that brought them to us and made them say, actually, this is the time that I want to invest in Salesforce and give you all of my time to put a project together? What's their business, and then what are their goals as well? So especially from a pre-sales perspective, if you don't know the answers, Google. So I know that doing this myself, I often work in the solution architect role, kind of that pre-sales stage. We have the internet at our fingertips. All it takes is a quick search, no matter how short of advanced you have. You can go 5 minutes before the meeting, Google, find the website, and at least have a couple of terms that they use in their business and be able to speak the same language as the customers who are actually watching the demo. So if we're talking about the hotel space, you can talk about hotel locations and rooms and bookings and all of that. Whereas if it's in the nonprofit space, you're going to be talking volunteer and fundraising, just understanding what you want to be showing off in the first place, because a lead conversion can apply to all of it. Leads are used sometimes in the nonprofit space too, in all different areas, but they might mean different things for different people. So it's not just that sales funnel that we're working with. And also, if you have the time, get to know their industry a little bit. Being able to just have a couple of words, a couple of terms that you can use to really connect, or even to understand what they're saying. So when your clients are talking to you about their use case and what they want to do with the system and all of that fun stuff, you're going to be able to understand what they're saying a whole lot better if you've taken the time just to understand them, to get to know them a bit more. My second tip is to tell a story. So actually, when I was transitioning into Salesforce and into more of the marketing space, I read a book around building a story brand. And it was a really great book by Donald Miller, if anybody's interested. But it is about that storytelling. So we as human beings absorb stories a lot better than when somebody's just telling facts to us. It registers it with a different part of our brains, and we can really engage with whatever we're talking about and make that connection much better. So making a story arc, and I was a literature major, taking a master's in Anglophone literature before, so story arcs are something that we use in that space, but we don't think that this applies to tech very often. And it actually does. So the exposition, we start down here. Who's the protagonist? Who's the main character of the story? That's what we just talked about, getting to know the business, getting to know the people who are in the room, and what is their world like right now? Getting to understand what their day-to-day looks like. We have the rising action, so why are they here today? What was that point, that pain point that made them come to us and set up a meeting to actually discover what it is that we're doing? And what are they trying to achieve? Now, this can be for other customers externally. It can also apply to you if you're working with your own organization. So if you're showing things off to your internal team, if I'm speaking to developers, I'll speak in a very different way than if I'm speaking to admins or to the business analysts. Everybody has their own language, and if we can tailor the demos just a little bit to those individuals, we'll have much more impact. Then we get to our climax. So what is the proposed solution? How are we going to make their world better? How are we going to fix things? Because they're there for a reason. They want the world to be better. So what's your solution? Walk them through what a day in the life would look like. So you are going to come in and you're going to do X, Y, and Z, and this is why it's going to make your world so much better. And that sounds very fantasy, but I've actually had that in calls before where people get really emotional when you're, especially in the nonprofit space, when you're freeing up time, where they were doing all of these manual tasks and it was a nightmare and they were on the verge of quitting, and all of a sudden they got Salesforce and we automated things and their life became easier, and they could actually get to the stuff that they wanted to do in the first place to make an impact. Then the falling action. So how will your solution achieve their business goals? And then our resolution. So what are the next steps we need to take to build this future together? And by creating that storyline, it may be that you're not mapping this out each and every time, but if you do it a couple of times, it'll just become a reflex, and the way that you present will change. So you'll start with the pain points. You'll start with, okay, this is why you're here. This is my solution to make it better, and these are next steps. And it just makes a nice flow for your demos as well, just having that storyline to your demonstration. Tip number 3, make it personal. So this is where the kind of shoddy demo that I did before was very generic. It was a trailhead playground. We had the sales app. We had the Salesforce logo. We had the dummy information, Bertha Boxer. Everybody knows her because she's in every trailhead playground, and she's the first person who shows up there. So we all know that sitting in this room, but other people don't. So you really want to make it personal and make it feel like your customer, your audience, you've tailored it for them. So just by doing a couple things, updating the logo, make an app with the logo, with it, stick the company's logo in there, and that all of a sudden makes that psychological connection with your customer that they say, oh, this is for me. Look, there's my logo and my colors. I can really see and visualize this. I can start to see what my future is going to look like. Use their names as characters. So I love to do this one. Otherwise, sometimes you can use just like fun pop culture names. I've seen all the Friends characters used before, Mickey Mouse. Maybe that's another session one day around the psychology of dummy data and all of the names behind it. But if you use their actual names as the character of the story, that helps them to put themselves into that space, into that mindset, and start to visualize themselves as being part of this story. It's not just, I'm looking at how somebody else did it, but actually this is how I do it. You want to remove any extra distractions. So we're all human. We have the attention span of a gnat. And you want to make sure that you're removing any apps that they're not going to be needing, any functionality, all of these fields that they don't need. Go ahead and take some of those out so it's very streamlined. They don't get overwhelmed, and they're really focusing on what you want them to see. And then show how they'll use it in their day-to-day. So I did put a couple of posts from Twitter. It was Twitter at the time when I took these screenshots, by the way, so I can still say that. But just some ideas from other people in the community as well. Cleaning up tabs, cleaning up page layouts, practicing, repeating the script, especially a couple of times as you're first getting started. Once you've done it a couple of times, you'll be able to go faster and faster. But just having that in mind. And then narrate our demo. So I'm just checking time here real quick. Yeah, we're okay. So narrate your demo. This comes back to the storyline, but also it comes back to making your demos accessible and easy for everybody to understand. So you almost want to think that somebody doesn't have access to your screen. What if they're just listening in the background? They're doing their laundry on the side or something like that. They're folding clothes. They're kind of like half listening to you. Will they understand what it is that you're saying? And by doing that, you're going to also make it really easy for somebody who doesn't have, who may have accessibility issues, who may be using a screen reader like JAWS or a visual impairment, to be able to understand what it is that you're doing. So rather than saying, we click here, we say that a lot in the tech space, we click here on this little cog, we'll go ahead and click up there. We're going to start to narrate and give some more details. So we're going to click the gear in the upper right-hand corner, and just by changing that little thing, somebody who's folding their laundry and not really paying attention will be able to pick that up and say, oh yeah, I know that gear. Whereas just saying click here, that's not really understandable. And then my last tip, be yourself. So this is my corny little joke for all of you, but really, we're all different human beings. So I know that I like to tell mom jokes. I have renamed the dad jokes into mom jokes. And I like to have that aspect of fun in all of my demos and everything that I do. But everybody's different, so you have your own special thing that you can bring to the table. So you'll be more memorable, and you'll also be more at ease if you bring a little bit of yourself to your demos too. So it just makes it a whole lot easier to be able to connect, to be able to be less nervous when you're doing a demo. Because let's be fair, the first couple of times, and maybe a lot of times, it's quite nerve-wracking to do your first demos and all of that stuff. So now I have a hopefully live demo that I'll do for all of you. And we'll see how this works because I am on mobile hotspot right now. So we'll see if the demo gods are aligned with us today. But we can see some things already. So I'm going to go through and do the demo, and then we'll talk through some of the things that we see here. So welcome. We are going to be, I'm going to pick on Jan in the middle, so, sitting front and center. So we're going to be living the day of a life of a sales rep. And you're going to start your day by coming into Salesforce, logging in, and you're going to come into the French Touch Dreamin app. So as you're on the phone with the individual, before you call somebody up, you're going to be coming into your leads list over here. So in our application, we have everything you need to do your day to day. You're not going to need to leave this French Touch Dreamin app. So we're going to go into our leads. Our leads are our pre-sales people, somebody who needs a little bit of nurturing. And at French Touch Dreamin, we're talking about sponsorship and all of our volunteers, our speakers that we need to keep the event going. So look at that. Parker Harris and Mark Benioff are interested in sponsoring. Let's go ahead and call them up because, yeah, I have Mark Benioff's phone number. So we're going to come into Mark Benioff. And we've got all of his details here. His phone number is 867-5309 for any of you who are interested. If you don't know the song, you can look it up later. I don't have a good enough singing voice to regale you all with that. But we have some information about Mark. He works at this little company called Salesforce, and he's not really that important. He's the CEO. The industry is tech. The event that he's interested in sponsoring is French Touch Dreamin for 2023. Maybe I should have put 2024 here. Who knows? So he's a hot lead right now, and we're going to give Mark a ring and see if he's actually interested in sponsoring us. So we call Mark up, and what do you know? He's interested in signing up right now. So we're going to go ahead and convert him as a lead. So we'll go and click on that convert button there, and we'll convert him. We don't have an account name Salesforce yet, but we're going to. And we'll create a new contact, a new opportunity, and he is going to be a gold sponsor, just because gold is the shortest thing that I can type here. So we are going to go ahead and convert that lead and say Mark is super interested in sponsoring French Touch Dreamin next year. So once you've done so, you'll have the account that is Salesforce, your business that you're working with all of those business-related details here. We can see that his rating of hot came over, his phone number, so we can all call up Mark after this. And then if we go into our related tab, we can see that we have Mark there and we have the opportunity. So we can hop into this opportunity and even see that the opportunity is for French Touch Dreaming. It's for 2013. And we might even have a sponsorship level in here. So if I come in and say the opportunity type, we can say that Mark is going to be a gold sponsor and give it a save. So hopefully we'll come through and be able to see that Mark confirmed, the money came through, and awesome, we're all set for this sponsorship. So that's just a little demo of the lead process, and we can see that a couple of things. We've tailored it to the customer, so we now have a story behind it. I didn't have too much of a story just because of time. Usually we'd go through the pain points and everything like that, but just for the sake of a quick demo. And we have logos. I've also made it so that the only apps that show are French Touch Dreaming, and then the sales app in case that little video didn't work before. But normally I would even get rid of that one. And we used real names. So everybody here knows Mark Benioff, whereas the same reaction, all of you kind of laughed and giggled at when I started to talk about Mark and the phone numbers and everything like that. If you're doing that with a client and you're using the CEO who's in the room of that company, they'll have the same reaction because that's who they know. You're using their team members and everybody's just lightening the mood a little bit and they're more receptive to your message, to your demo later on. And then even by having a storyline with it a little bit, we had the situation of a lead is not just that pre-sales person where we have data being mapped in. We know that's what's happening. But by saying the demo that way, we started to understand how we would be using the system. We're going to be using it to track sponsorship. We have that business reason behind it. And this is the sponsorship that they're going to give, and this is that entire process. And now the people who are watching the demo can put themselves in the seat of the other person and be able to understand how they would be using it. So that goes the same for internal. You can start to tweak things. So if you're showing things off at the end of a sprint maybe, once you've configured something and you're showing it off to the rest of your team, you can do the same type of thing. Use the people in the room, use names. You won't be tailoring it to them, but you'll be tailoring it to your customer. And then let me go back into my slides real quick because I realize that we're getting up towards the end of time. So I just wanted to leave some trailhead modules and things like that for inspiration afterwards. I didn't put links in here on purpose because I know it's hard to get links off of a slide, and I wasn't quick enough on my feet to think QR codes yet. But there's the trailhead module, demoing storytelling, delivery essentials, even public speaking skills. There's a trailhead module for it. And there's also courses on Udemy and things like that, really to work on your communication skills. And yeah, taking a course is a very powerful way to start to practice. Also, one thing that I didn't put up here, well, actually, you can share with your solutions at community events when you're ready for that. And also a tip that you can use and that we talk about sometimes in the instructor space as well, is recording yourself and watching yourself back. And that's a really uncomfortable place to be and to put yourself into, but it's really powerful at the same time. And I did take a course around that, and in the course, the one thing that the instructor said was that you could only pick one thing that you wanted to make better each time. And by doing that, we're very hard on ourselves normally. So we usually say, okay, well, there's 20 things I can make better here because I really did that badly. By just focusing in on one thing, you'll apply that better to the next time that you do it, and you just iterate as you're going through your presentation skills, as you're going through your communication skills, and as you're building out your demos. So that is it. We have some time for questions. I think I saw some on the app too, but if anybody here has any. Otherwise, I'll do, yeah.
You say that adding enough guidance could be also implemented just the tips that you...
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, yes, and just having those little moments. That's actually one that came up from the London's Calling presentation that I did. Somebody had suggested in-app guidance. And it's one of those things where you can just build out little tips that you can see, and as you're showing that off to your customers, they'll be able to see how you can build that in for them and be onboarding even easier. So, yeah.
Yes. Maybe a question, because you sometimes hear about tell, show, tell, that you pieces of that demo about those smaller parts. Then, what are your thoughts on that, first of all? And number two, maybe sometimes you go, I feel like I'm going a lot back and forth between slides and demo, and slides and demo when I do that.
Yeah. So usually I don't, because I like to keep my storyline cohesive and all together. That's also personal preference. So you kind of have to try it out and figure out what works for you, because what works for me might not work for everybody else in this room. That's why we're all different and we're all unique. But yeah, it is also, if you are doing that, practicing your slide transitions, because I get motion sick really easily. Sharing that with everybody, even on the recording. But sometimes when I'm watching demos or when I'm watching even classes that I'm learning in, if the person who's doing the demo moves the mouse around too much and is kind of going like this and highlighting things, I have to look away, because I just can't watch it anymore. And if you're thinking about that as well, your slide transitions, if you do want to break it up, you just have to make sure that your slide transitions are smooth, that you don't have any windows open. So like you see here, I switched back and forth in between them, but I didn't have any windows open. And I practiced with having the different Mac windows. So just things like that to be able to break it up and make it smoother. Yeah, any other questions? I think we're out of time. I'm going to get kicked out soon. Yeah.
All those things are French-proof as well?
They are. I tested them on my husband and kids and my dog, who only speaks French, because the others are bilingual, but the dog does not listen to English. And yes, you can practice on your pets if your loved ones are sick of listening to you, because let's face it, they hear too much about Salesforce already. My daughter the other day made the error of asking where the Salesforce logo comes from and why it's a cloud, and got a whole mini lesson on cloud computing at 9 years old, so yeah. Well, thank you all for coming, and yeah, feel free to stay in touch. I'm on LinkedIn.